Good morning and welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for Thursday, February 26th. Okay, let's get into the action. Take a look at what the S&Ps are doing. We're actually trading higher. We're at some of the best levels of the morning. We're actually up 0.09%. We were lower all morning, but they're starting to turn. The key focus today, geopolitical issues are really on the top of everyone's mind. It's these talks between the U.S. and Iran, which have begun, and early indications are that the sanctions relief is the main stumbling block. Apparently, Iran has agreed to enrich uranium to, no more than 5%, which is exactly what the deal was in 2016. But Trump tore that agreement up and said, no, we're no longer going to make that valid. But it said that the negotiators from the U.S. gave Iran a very easy proposal to meet, so we could see something, we could see some positive news coming out of that summit today. Now, that's going to be key for oil prices. On the calendar today, you had the initial jobless claims there due out in the pre-market. Let's talk about Washington. A lot going on in D.C. Today. I mean, Netflix CEO is headed to the White House today, and he's pushing for his WBD deal. He wants to buy out Warner Brothers, and he doesn't feel like he has all of his ducks in a row, so he's heading to Washington to try and clean that up. Remember, Trump said, "I want Susan Rice off your board," which maybe he's willing to do in order to kind of get this deal done, but we'll have to wait and see. The Clintons, Hillary Clinton is set to testify in a House investigation into Epstein today, and Bill Clinton, former president, is scheduled to appear tomorrow. There could be something there. If nothing, it's going to bring a lot of attention to that, a distraction to that issue. NVIDIA delivered another solid quarter, and then the CEO Jensen Huang came out and he pushed back on those concerns about AI cannibalizing the software sector. He actually argued that instead AI is supposed to expand the market rather than make it smaller. So that's kind of interesting. Salesforce CRM, their CEO said, its low share price is actually an opportunity to authorize and execute a 50 billion share repurchasing program. Wow, that's big. Target announced a collaboration deal with Roller Rabbit. On the earnings front, you're seeing gains in NVIDIA, PSTG, Pure Storage, and ticker Q. Baidu, Salesforce, Synopsys, they're all trading lower, though, SNPS. After the bell today, we get Dell, we got Intuit, we got Autodesk, we got CoreWeave, NTAP, and Zscaler, ticker ZS. They're all scheduled to report when the bell closes. Let's take a look over at Europe and see what the action is there. We're looking at Germany. Germany's actually higher by 0.42%. It started off a little slow, but it is since started to move higher. And you're seeing some gains in autos and retail stocks. That's kind of positive. And then there's the FTSE. The FTSE's higher by 0.21%. There is strength in the industrial stocks, which is kind of offsetting the weakness that's being seen in the minerals, in the mining names. In France is up 0.89%. I mean, it's really being supported by utility stocks, a little M&A activity there. So, that's kind of positive. Turning the page and going over to Asia last night, Asia was mixed, I'd say. The Nikkei did jump 0.29%. Technology was mixed. Listen, the Nikkei started off strong, but then there were these hawkish comments from a Bank of Japan official, which kind of weighed on the sentiment and pulled it back down a little bit. But still, the market finished higher with tech stocks trading mixed to higher. Hong Kong, the Hang Seng actually fell 1.44%. What did we see there? We saw weakness across tech, consumer, and property sectors. But then there's China. China was flat. It was flat to lower, down 0.01%. That's as flat as you can get, flat to lower as you can get. But, tech stocks did post gains, while clean energy stocks and metal stocks did move lower. Then we're looking over at oil this morning. Now, oil is trading lower. It's down over 2%. You got WTI at $63.76 a barrel. You got Brent at $69.29 a barrel. It's all about the talks in Geneva. The central component is, to get Iran to agree to enrich uranium below 5% on purity levels. But the issue really, the real stumbling block is the sanctions. Iran wants those sanctions lifted. They're not really being very communicative about that, but that is still a possibility. I don't think, we have a big armada outside of Iran in the Middle East, and it's hard to have them move away. But if an agreement is reached, that would be really positive for the markets and negative for oil. But we'll have to wait and see. And then, of course, you had that EIA data that came out yesterday that showed a build of 15.989 million barrels yesterday. That's enormous. That's an enormous build. So, that when you get a build in oil inventories, that's actually negative for oil prices. So, and then you have an OPEC meeting coming up this weekend. On Sunday, OPEC is going to meet, and guess what? OPEC is talking about another production hike. So, you got a lot of negative factors here on oil today. But it really, it's really pinning on the outcome of the talks between the U.S. and Iran today. That's the key factor for oil prices. Now we're turning our attention over to earnings. And, listen, we got to take a look at this stuff. We got to look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA beat by 8 cents, and they did it on higher revenue. You look at NVIDIA this morning, it's up 0.92%. I mean, listen, it was trading, 205 last night, but it's now trading 197.37. So it was up big. There's still room for it to run. But just keep your eyes on NVIDIA. They delivered a solid beat last night. Then there's Salesforce, which also delivered a solid beat. They beat by 75 cents, and they did it on higher revenue. But you look at Salesforce this morning, the stock's getting hit. Salesforce is down, about 0.6% this morning. We'll have to wait and see, if that thing can turn around or not. PSTG, they beat by 5 cents, and they did that on higher revenue. You look at PSTG this morning, it's up 4.13%. Wow, nice move. Upcoming after the bell, Dell Technologies. The EPS is $3.54. Expected move is 9.7%. You got Autodesk, ADSK. EPS is $2.63. Expected move is 7.98%. CoreWeave. Now, CoreWeave is expected to lose 45 cents a share, but the expected move here is 15.94% when they release earnings. So keep an eye on CoreWeave. That's going to be a big mover. Let's move over to the economic reports coming out today, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We get the initial jobless claims, which are due out. How are they going to land? I mean, listen, the estimates are calling for a 215K reading. That's slightly above, last week's reading of 207K, but I think it's going to fall somewhere in between 207 and 215. Employment seems to be pretty steady, so we got to keep an eye on that. But that comes out at 8:30 a.m. And then, at 10 a.m., Fed Governor Michelle Baumann. I mean, she's going to be speaking. She's going to be in front. She's going to be talking to the Senate today. I mean, remember, she's the head of vice chair of the banking committee, banking supervision. So she's scheduled to testify today. Okay, let's take a look at the markets and see what we see this morning. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of positive activity in the Dow stocks. I'm only showing 5 lower, 2 unchanged, 23 higher. That's nice to see. And then we're looking at our FANG stocks this morning. And Meta's down a little bit, Tesla's down a little bit, but everything else is trading higher, so that's good to see. You're looking at some of the news behind the tape, and Amazon refused permission to appeal the go-ahead for 2 UK lawsuits from retailers and consumers. Tech companies are summoned by Trump to sign a power pledge, power cost pledge. Basically, he wants them to say, to sign an agreement or to sign a pledge to say that they're going to make and use their own energy that they create, that they're not going to be raising energy costs. It's a pledge. It's not a law. It's not a fact. It's just an idea. It's more pomp and circumstance than anything else. What else do we have? Netflix. Warner Brothers continues to engage with Paramount Skydance. Warner Brothers continues to talk to them, and they got to. Warner Brothers has to determine if the new proposal from P-Sky, is a better deal. Is it a superior proposal? We'll have to wait and see. I mean, they do know that they're going to have a hard time getting a deal done with Netflix, considering all of the government. The FTC is against this deal. President Trump is against this deal. It's going to be hard for this deal to happen. So the fact that they came by, the fact that Warner Brothers, that P-Sky came back with a better offer for WBD makes it kind of possible that Warner Brothers signs with P-Sky and pays that penalty fee. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, the situation remains fluid. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about Dow Jones 30 stocks. And NVIDIA says that they have sold 0 H200 chips to China. 0. Let's talk about Disney, DIS. Disney Plus subscribers in the U.S. will now have access to ABC-owned local television stations. That's a big move. That's a differential. Nobody else really has that because they don't have their own streaming service along with local television channels. I mean, Peacock has it, yes. Paramount has it, yes, but not on the same scope and size of Disney Plus because Disney Plus has all those movie studios, and those things are huge. Okay, we're going to talk a little guidance news. Salesforce sees their full year 2027 adjusted EPS coming in $13.11 to $13.19. Street estimates $13.12. It's not horrible. NVIDIA sees Q1 revenue coming in at $78 billion plus or minus 2%. Street estimate $72.03 billion. That's positive. That's positive. Johnson Outdoors, JOUT, they're holding a shareholders meeting today. Starts at 9 a.m. In terms of buyback, Salesforce.com is initiating a 50 billion share buyback program. Wow, that's big. In terms of catalyst calls, Citibank opened up a 30-day Catalyst Watch on CLAC, KLA, going into its Investors Day. Now, their Investors Day is March 12th, so it's still like 2 weeks away, but that's interesting that they're doing it now. Okay, let's talk about today's pick of the day. I'm going to go with Rocket Companies, ticker RKT, Richard Kilo Tom. Listen, earnings are out after the bell. EPS is 10 cents. Expected move is 10.56%. But you look at the call volume for yesterday, 123,000 contracts traded yesterday. You look at the put volume, it's 21,000. I mean, it's like 5 to 1. Open interest, 759K versus 259K. Again, huge divergence. And the major brokers, are positive on the stock. They do like Rocket Companies, our ticker RKT. So, yeah, I like it too for, playing the earnings, when they come out after the bell. I want to get in 17.25. That's my entry price. I'm going to stick with it. I might be a little low, but I'm holding 17.25. Anything can happen when it opens, so we're just trying to be a little cautious here. But that's my pick of the day, RKT, Richard Kilo Tom. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about and see what's happening in the markets this morning in our hot off the press segment. Arrow Financial to acquire Adirondack Bancorp in a stock and cash deal. Chicago Fed model hints next jobs report will show a stable labor market. Oil market. Big Oil is urging Trump to stop battling on offshore wind. U.S. talks in Geneva pause after 3 hours. I'll restart soon. American Airlines to divest $1 billion in Miami International Airport expansion. Joby International, JOBY, sees unprecedented global demand. Hyperscalers are headed to the White House on Wednesday for a tech energy summit. Yeah, I knew that. Elon Musk is touting California robo-taxis, but Tesla doesn't even do anything to get a permit there, so that's more talk than anything else. Yeah, that's all I'm seeing this morning. Nothing else really exciting happening. But keep an eye on these stocks for Geneva. That's going to be the big catalyst for today. Okay, so we're going to move on to our pick from yesterday, which was Viartis, VRTS. I mean, listen, the stock opened up at 142.67, fell to 139.15. Now, I said 138. Never hit there. Then it rallied, and it, up to 143.5, a little higher than that, and closed out at 142.45, which is nice. It's trading 142.45 now. Spreads, $10 wide. It's essentially a flat trade. I mean, if it would have hit that 138 level, I could have claimed it, but I can't claim it. So, but it's trading, pretty much where it was yesterday. It did hit a high of 143.61 yesterday, so there was an opportunity for a slight gain, but I'd call it flat on the day as we wait for the earnings on VRTS to be announced. All right, traders, that concludes today's podcast. You guys know what to do. Let's go out there and let's make some green.